Hi, I'm Linda Willow Roberts with another episode of How to Manifest, another magical manifesting conversation. Today, I'm really excited. In this episode, we've got Tonia Reeves, the Australian psychic cowgirl. She's a psychic medium. She hosts on A1 radio in America, and I please welcome Tonia, the Australian psychic cowgirl. Good morning. How are you?
Really good. How are you, gorgeous girl?
I'm really good as well. And thank you for joining me on one of our conversations. Now, I've been talking to spiritual leaders around the world, and what I want to ask you firstly is, most spiritual leaders around the world got into their spiritual life because of the challenges that they had and they wanted to change their life. Did you actually go through any challenges? Is that how you started on your spiritual journey?
Mine was really quite interesting. For me, it was more about having this pull towards knowing there was something more and I hadn't accessed it yet. So my life prior to stepping up into this, and I suppose if I look back, it was around the age of 42 for me. So I was probably what you would term as a late starter in this industry. But from opening the door to it, it's just been an absolute whirlwind, and I more or less flew by the seat of my pants from the beginning. And I look back and think I can't believe how it transpired the way it did, but I really did honour the process of being pushed into, stepping up into the spiritual world, whereas prior to that, my experience was having a hair salon for 21 years.
Yeah, it's different, isn't it? It's sort of like between the spiritual world and the analytical mind. So what were some of the things that spirit were pulling you in? How did you listen, and what was sort of the signs?
Well, for me, it was always about, like, looking back, I definitely had, the psychic and the mediumship as part of my life forever. And it's only since writing my book that I've actually gone back and looked at things differently and realized that there was so many signs as I was younger, but I really didn't understand them. I wasn't from a family of, mediums and people that would go, oh yeah, that's cool, you're talking to people. That makes sense. I did, on my dad's side, there was a fair connection with the church. So I did do Sunday school. I learned early the power of prayer, and that always resonated with me. Not that I was any particular, religion wasn't massive, but it gave me that belief in faith. So I do look back and think that was a blessing and something that, it helped me throughout my life, that probably not even fully realizing it. Another thing that often came in for me was I always felt someone was watching me. So from an early age, I always felt like I was in my bedroom, but I wasn't alone. And I never understood what that was. But looking back, that was a definite, sign that spirit were around. And I didn't understand it or, really get to delve into that until recently, when I look back and went, wow, I can now see from a spiritual perspective, there were so many signs that back then I didn't.
Yeah, and it's hard. I got lots of spiritual slaps, and they happened because I wasn't listening and I was doing the opposite of what spirit wanted me to. So it was, it is a strange feeling, isn't it? Having that knowing and recognizing it. I had that knowing all my life, and I used to say things to people and they'd look at me and go, yeah, really? And, it had happened. You just can't do anything about that. And it's good. So when you get the nudge from spirit, it's actually good to become aware of what your capabilities and what your gifts are. And so how did you manifest? What was one of the first steps that you did, that you took to put you on your spiritual journey to becoming the Australian psychic cowgirl?
Well, for me, I just got this nudge to go and do a course on beginners psychic development, psychic mediumship development. And I was honestly, truly blessed to have a great teacher who, still today is a close friend of mine. And Denise is really amazing. She facilitated my growth And, even when I trained with Lisa Williams, Lisa wrote her a forward to say what a brilliant job she'd done in helping me step up into this. And even with manifesting with Lisa, it's funny, when we were building our house, we'd got to the end of the build. So we'd built the house to lock up, then we had to finish the rest. And you know what it's like when you build something, it just, everything blew out. So it got to the painting stage. And of course, it was like, okay, we either paint it ourselves or we have to wait and, save up a bit more to get it painted. So here's me painting a job that I really don't like at all. So I got onto podcasts and I started listening to Lisa Williams, and I was listening to her, and she did podcasts then. This is going back a few years, where people would ring in and she would do readings for them. And so I was absolutely obsessed. I watched every one of them. I used to tune in myself and go, oh, what am I picking up around that person?
Yeah.
And, and at that time I had no idea that, I would ever get the opportunity to connect with her. But looking back, it was part of the manifesting process.
Yeah,
so,
and that's where I met you, was at the Lisa Williams mediumship course, certified course in Dalesford. And I've always been like psychic clairvoyant, have all the clairs, and I never wanted to call myself a medium because I felt like I hadn't studied in that. So to me, I couldn't call myself a medium until I actually had, was certified in it. And even then I doubted myself, but Lisa is so animated in her teaching. She's so personable, and how we learnt with her the theory and the hands-on, and we even sat exams at the end of it, and that gave me a little bit more confidence. And it's really good to find a good spiritual teacher, like you said, and to help you and to nurture you and take you through the steps that you need to go through, because otherwise you sort of flounder a little bit, don't you?
Absolutely. And a bit like, what you said about with manifesting, there's so much when we tune into that, what we can bring about is pretty magical. And I have to say, for me, I applied to train with Lisa and thought, I'd only just opened up, I did my beginners course probably 18 months prior to applying for her advanced mediumship course. So it was a pretty big step up, and it was something that I went, what, my guides, everything said you need to do this. And at the time I felt like, oh my God, I'm jumping in to something that's so massive. How am I going to do this? Am I going to make myself look stupid? Will I be, qualified to sit next to the likes of, many others, and yourself as well, Linda? There was many there that have been doing it for many years. So for me, I felt a little bit like, oh, this is really, stepping up into something that was pretty scary.
Yeah, it's daunting, and the fear aspect and the doubt. And I don't know. I think that you and I were both, I didn't have any money at the time, and Spirit was guiding me to do that. And I applied for a scholarship, and you did the same. And it was really luckily enough that we actually got a scholarship to go to Dalesford and do the certified course. So it wasn't just the fear and the doubt about my abilities, it was the fear and the doubt that I could actually get there. So I got the scholarship, paid for the airfares, and booked into the motel, and it was the most bizarre experience. It really shows you how you really need to trust Spirit when you're manifesting. So I'd actually done the action step. Spirit had helped me with the sponsorship and Lisa. And then I got to Dalesford, and I had enough money for food for that week. And the accommodation said to me, we want you to pay up front. And I went, oh, okay. So I paid the money up front for the accommodation, and then thought, shit, what am I going to eat for the rest of the week? And I was tapped out. I didn't have anything. And I just thought, oh, well, I'm just here to do this course. I know I need to do it. And the first day we went, we went for a break at lunch, and I was thinking, I won't be having lunch. I'll just tell them I don't feel like eating or whatever. And I'd had a Tats Lotto ticket in my wallet, and I said, I'm just going to go in and check this Tats Lotto ticket, and I won $1,200.
I love that.
It was enough. I could eat, and that's just how you do it, really, isn't it? You manifest it, but it's total trust, and it's releasing the fear and stepping into what you're guided to. And it was, I just couldn't believe it. It was meant to happen, and I was meant to be there. So, and the same for you, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And I can share a story too for myself for that week, because I had my daughter starting high school, and that was on the day that we were to do our test reads. So yes. I'd initially spoken to her prior to booking to do the course, and I said, are you going to be all right? I'm not going to be able to be there on your first day. And she's like, no, Mum, and I'm fine. I don't need you there. And mother's guilt, I was feeling like I really needed to be there. And I just got this nudge from Spirit to say, don't worry, you're going to be there. It's going to work out. And I'm thinking, logically, I thought, how, that's our test day. So it's the day we've got the reads that we have to pass. How am I going to manifest this? And Lisa had already read us the act of, you've come here you're committed to this training. You got to be on time, committed, So I was like, I have no idea how this is going to happen. And then it was only, I think, 2 days before our test reads that Lisa's assistant, Jo, who I got to know really well, said to me, look, Lisa's come here and her hairdresser didn't give her the pink, that she used to have that pink in her hair. Do you think you could, you've got your hair salon, because I still had my salon back then. Do you have any, can we buy some off you and, organise it? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I was like, of course, because I love Lisa. I'm like, yeah, for sure, I'll do that, no worries. And then what happened, it was like, then in my head I went, hang on, that means I had to, because we were staying there at Dalesford, and I needed to then go back that evening and get the colour so that I could bring it back the next day to, for her hair. So I said to Jo, look, I can. I said, but could I also just start an hour later so I can be with my daughter for, her first day at her first morning at high school? And she said, oh, I'm sure Lisa won't mind that. I'll ask her. So sure enough, she came back and said, Lisa said, that's fine. Absolutely. More than happy to do that for you. So I was able to be there for my daughter's first day at high school, her first morning. And and I went and got the colour, and then I was able to colour Lisa's hair. So Lisa ended up coming over, and we had the best night. It was so hilarious. And Lisa, Linda, what she's like. She's so down to earth. And so I was doing her hair, and we were at the house that we were staying at. There was a couple of other girls there that were staying with me, and we had the best night with Lisa. We had the music going. I was doing photo shoots of Lisa in my Cowgirl stuff, because I had my boots and my dress, and we were just having a laugh, had a couple of wines, and it was the most best night and so much fun. And the next day for the test reads, I had no, it wasn't the test reads, it was a night after that. I had to wear the dress that Lisa would taken all these photos in, because that was my last outfit. And I'm laughing, going, I got photos of Lisa in that dress that I then wore the next day, and it was just fun, It was a lot of
it's funny how it
fun.
all falls into place, isn't it? And I suppose my thing is when I'm thinking and I'm doing something, I have such a serious face on, and I'm 99% of the time when I've done spiritual things, I've been so serious. I actually had an assessment done. I studied with Tony Stockwell at Arthur Findlay College, and at the end of that, we had an assessment done. And Simone said to me, people don't realise how serious you have taken everything that you've learnt spiritually. And I thought about it afterwards, and I thought I really had put myself into this position of just being so serious about what I needed to learn and what I learnt and what to call myself and when I was certified and when I wasn't. And but I've certainly lightened up after that. But I think that was just how I've learnt things. I really put myself into the serious hat and really you know, if I've given this opportunity, that's what I'm going to do. And so even that has been a learning curve for me, because spirit likes it when we're fun and we muck around and we're lighthearted, and that's how we manifest, is being there, and it's trusting and it's being joyful. So yeah, that was a really good experience for you to have, wasn't it? I was just worried about whether I could eat or not.
And it's so true, Linda, isn't it? Like, and I think when we look at the big picture and the foundation of life and our human experience, the more that we tend to have trust that things will turn out, that we can manifest, the more that we are in allowance and in alignment with the universe so that it can be delivered. And it doesn't have to be material things. It can be just experiences, or like you were sharing with teaching, getting to teach and train with some of the best in the business.
Yeah.
And that's so powerful. And I think that's, I love the fact that you share that, you know, your story in your book and your cards are so amazing for people to tap into and realize that there's so much more out there than what our own limitations really. Yes. And we all have them. We all start off with them, but we can rise above that, and we can really be the best versions of us. And, you know, I know for me, that's really been pivotal, is absolutely, you know, connecting to that trust. And even after I finished with Lisa, I said, okay, universe, I'm going to make a promise. I've gone and done this training. I've passed the course. I'm certified by Lisa. I'm going to say yes to every single opportunity that comes my way. So I did that, and I ended up doing my first platform event ever because gorgeous Maya, who I trained with, texted the wrong person. So she texted me and said, would you like to do a platform event? I've got a retreat coming up. And I'm like, is she really asking me to do this? You know, there was that question around it. And Spirit went, well, we said you made a deal with us. So I said yes. And so that was the beginning of my platform adventures. And, you know, had I have thought about it, or, you know, had I not have made that pact, then I probably would have said, oh, no, I can't do that. Yeah.
So, you know, platform, for anybody that doesn't know, is a medium demonstrating on stage your mediumship skills and bringing through passed over people. And there's a stage that we go through that we were taught, that we get evidence, and we talk about what the person was like, what they felt like, how they passed away, and things like that. And to be up on stage and doing that is really lovely. It's a really good feeling. It's a good feeling because you're actually validating that your passed over loved one is okay, and what messages, and it helps people heal, and that's the best thing about being a medium. So if you're trying to, Tonia, if you're trying to manifest something for you, what are the steps that you take? What's your go-to thing?
Well, I've tested this out because I love manifesting. It's probably one of my favoriteest things. And I think, Linda, that's why we resonate, because we both have that passion for it. So I've always had a bit of a vision board, has been something in the past that I've utilised, because I often find pictures and associations are really powerful. But I've also played around with just writing things down. So I've tested this out where I've written down, you know, this is what I'm bringing in, and I've even put it in a drawer and not necessarily had it where I can see it. And then, of course, that's transpired. So for me, with the testing phase of this, a lot of it is to be clear to the universe. And as humans, we often aren't. So we'll often go, I think I might want to do this, or hang on, I'd really love to go overseas, or I'd really love to go and train in some aspect, or it make things happen, but we're not clear about it. So if it's written on paper, if we're connecting with the photos, we're being clear, and we're actually, rather than the umming and ahhing and being a bit, what I say, you know, a bit wishy-washy, we're being really clear on it. So for me, I definitely have the intention, and I definitely write that down. I often connect to spirit and will do automatic writing if I'm a little bit unsure. So
Yes.
I will go, okay, spirit, what's the next step? Like I knew I would be going to America. Okay, that was something I was shown probably 2 years ago. I wasn't shown how or why. I just knew that it would be something that was coming up for me. And then this year we got invited to go to Canada to Carmel, his farm. And amazingly, she's got horses and just so in alignment with me. And whether now with COVID, it might be next year, like, which is probably going to be the reality of it. But it's, you know, it's pretty much put into place. So that is something that's going to happen. And that was something that was shown to me through spirit. So I just wrote down things and, you know, and that's, so for me, tuning into if I'm at that point where I'm just a bit unsure or I might not be thinking big enough. Yeah. You know, I might be thinking, great, I want to go national with what I do. I might not be thinking international, and which was the case with this. So by writing it down and, you know, like channeling that message, I then was able to connect to the energy and go, okay, it might feel not 100% right at that moment that it's channeled, but I'm setting that intention and I'm holding that belief. So then I put the things in place to help it happen. So for me, I got on back then, I think it was Picture Monkey, which now is Canva. And I got an American flag and I put Australia Psychic Cowgirl coming to America soon, right? And I've still got that. I did that probably 2 years ago. And I just sat it there. It's in my photos and I had it ready. And you know, so it was little things like that. So I think if we can set the intention, but also do some steps that really make it feel real to you, and connecting to the feeling is a really big one as well, because often we can be shown things that feel so out of our comfort zone or like so unbelievable that we think, how can it happen? And we get into our head as humans and go, well, you know, I need to make all these steps to make it happen, when actually in reality that's not our problem. Our connection is, this is where I'm going to be, this is what I'm going to be doing, and I know that intuitively, and I'm not going to worry about the details. I'll leave that to the universe to, you know, a bit like your journey.
Yeah, exactly. Like the trust and that I have for spirit. Sometimes I get into my head and I just go, okay, I'm not going into ego about hows and whys and what it looks like. I go back into my heart, you know, breathe back into that space. But it is about the feelings. It's about what you want to feel like. And I think the major thing that I wanted to feel like was freedom, because I've not ever had that. I've been restricted and I've been put into a box and had limited thinking. And so when I became a theta healer, I really went into a space of unlimited thinking, and I was able to feel what it is I wanted to feel like, and it was freedom. So I wanted to have freedom to do what I needed to do for spirit. I wanted to have freedom to be able to have the money to do whatever I wanted. I wanted just the world to open up, and I actually did a vision board, which is putting different pictures, as you know, on the cardboard, and above it I had all I want is everything. And people would look at that and go, why have you got that? And I said, because that's all I want is everything. I want to have all different gifts and things that I can do for spirit. I wanted to have whatever I was guided to and not have any limiting thoughts. And so I think a lot of the time your first step to manifesting, apart from self-love, that's the first step to everything, is to actually feel and not have the limiting thought processes, so that you're not thinking, you know, you like you said, you're thinking big, because, and I always say to spirit, for my highest good, because spirit can actually see everything. And it's putting you in a place, isn't it, of going, okay, I want to be in service to you. So now put me where, and I've got these skills and I've learnt this stuff. Now put me where I'm of best use to you, so that you can put me out there for people to hear the message. And that's what you've actually done by putting America, you know, the Australian Psychic Cowgirl is coming, so that you can carry the message where you need to be. And that's just such a powerful thing.
Absolutely. And I think for us as humans. It's letting go of control, because I think often in our life experience, we want to control everything and we want to know what's around the corner. We want to feel like we're the director of the movie totally. And yes, we are to a degree. And like you say, our self-love and self-belief has to be there. But we also need to be able to be an allowance of not only thinking that our path is a certain way, but allowing sometimes we need to do those detours in order to get to be the best version of ourselves. So if we don't, if we tend to outline but not be obsessed about controlling, how our life needs to be, or what we strongly think that it has to be a certain way, and that then limits us from that extra good coming in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think that's what people can't sometimes when you're manifesting is people have a picture of what they think their life's going to look like. And I certainly did. Like I've been divorced twice. So I was brought up, I'm the youngest of 7. I'm 54 now. And I thought that you and this is the old conditioning that you had to release. I had to release that, okay, you get to this age, you get married, you have children, and it was that conditioning. And my life certainly hasn't turned out how it was. But if I hadn't have gone through those things, I wouldn't be where I am or the person that I am. So my first half of my life was pretty shitty, but wow, what a ride, and it got me to this point. And it was really funny because you only know what you know. And unless you let go of some of that conditioning and old ways of thinking, you don't grow. And I got upset one day and my daughter said, and this is like my life's getting better and I'd had things in my bucket list and things that I wanted to do. And I got upset and she said, "What's the matter, Mum?" And I went, "I've done everything on my bucket list." And she said, "We'll make another one." And I went, "Oh, yeah." Like, like how stupid is that? Here's a grown woman that, I was thinking, what do I do? I've done it all, but I hadn't done it all. But it's what you know and what you've learnt from your past, and you have to clear it. You just have to clear it and just, be open, really, don't you?
Absolutely. And that's where things like, I've even got on my phone, which you probably can't quite see. Oh, it's not coming up, but everything I touch is a success. And I've got a picture of me and my horse there. And, just as a general affirmation. So I'm really big on affirmations and just affirming things to help you get into the zone of trusting. So they're another really powerful thing. Like in my office, I've always got, even throughout the house, I've got affirmations everywhere. So I believe, that's another great powerful tool that we can have, is to bring things to us.
Yeah, and I'm a bit of a word Nazi. I shouldn't say Nazi. I'm a bit of a word nagger. Apologise for using that. Because sometimes I'm walking along talking to somebody and they'll say a word the different way, and I'm like, no, what you're putting out there, what you're thinking, what you're feeling is what the universe, say it like this, say it like that's what you want, not what you don't want. And so I'm really, really, really careful of picking myself up with what I'm saying, with how I say it, what I think, and and grounding and stuff like that. But, you mentioned horses, and we'll quickly touch on that. That would be so beneficial for you to be around animals and horses and have the connection and the bond, and that brings you straight back into your heart, and that's a beautiful place to be, isn't it?
Absolutely. Animals play a really big part of my life, and I couldn't imagine, having my life without them. The horses have been always, like, from a very young age, a big part of me. And I've learnt so much about myself through the horses. So I do have to put my hand up to say that the influence they've had has been really major, and I'm very grateful that I was introduced to them all those years ago, back in Tasmania where I was born.
And that's exactly where I was born too, so that's pretty good too. So, Tonia, our end the time has gone so quickly. Thank you so much. So Tonia Reeves is the Australian Psychic Cowgirl. On the video, you'll be able to see the links where that you can contact her. Thank you very much for spending some time with me talking about manifesting this morning, Tonia. Thank you.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.